Tracking Bertha. This is a special report from Action News and AccuWeather.
It is 8 o'clock on a Saturday morning, and believe it or not, this is a picture of the Platte Bridge from Sky 6. Hard to see it through the stormy weather out there, but as you can see, it is a misty, rainy morning in the Delaware Valley as we feel the effects of Tropical Storm Bertha in the Delaware Valley. Good morning again. I'm Rick Williams. We have been here all morning helping you maneuver through the wet weather that we've been predicting for the past couple of days, but Bertha is here. It is a tropical storm this morning, and as we will check in with Dave Frankel later, he says by late this afternoon, we won't see hardly any effects of it, which is good news. But in North Carolina, where Bertha was a hurricane, well, the coastal region suffered a punch on the chin there, as you can see from this video. Bertha's biggest punch came in North Carolina, as we mentioned, where the storm went ashore last night. Gusts of up to 118 miles an hour lifted roofs, bowled over trees, knocked down power lines. Towns like Carolina Beach and Jacksonville suffered the most damage. 9 people are reported dead, several in drownings and several in traffic accidents. Several dozen people are injured, many hit by flying debris. And about 400,000 people, we're told, are without electricity this morning. That is the scene in North Carolina. Here in the Delaware Valley, as we mentioned, it is rainy, but as we check in with Dave Frankel, who's standing by outside with AccuWeather, if you're planning outdoor activities later today, like the Big Greek picnic, David, well, it could still possibly happen by late this afternoon, correct?
The later we go in the day, the better chance for any outdoor activities to be less problematic. Right now, boy, I tell you, you do not want to be outside if you don't have to be. Really coming down. Conditions have deteriorated considerably since we last checked in with you. Raining quite hard here on City Line Avenue. We're in one of those rain bands, and it is really pouring out here. She's not a hurricane. She's a tropical storm, and that's a good thing because she's plenty of trouble as a tropical storm. Tropical Storm Bertha, 135 miles southwest of Dover, Delaware, with winds, maximum sustained winds of 60 miles an hour, moving very rapidly north-northeast at 18 miles an hour and picking up speed as she makes her way toward us here in the Delaware Valley. She'll continue to plow northward and be up into New England by later on tonight and tomorrow. So she'll be out of our way quickly, but in the meantime, she's going to do a lot of quick damage in the Delaware Valley. There is a tornado watch in effect. These are the conditions that tornadoes form in. We have them in eastern Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware. So a tornado watch until 11 o'clock this morning. Also a flash flood watch for today in the Channel 6 viewing area, the tri-state area, southeastern Pennsylvania, central and southern New Jersey, and the state of Delaware under a flash flood watch today. A couple of flood warnings. This one, the first one is a new one, the Newcastle County, Delaware area under a flood warning along the Christina River. Mercer County, New Jersey under a flood warning for the Assunpink Creek. The Christina River flood warning is until about noontime, just before noontime, and the Mercer County warning, the Assunpink Creek warning, until shortly after 3 o'clock this afternoon. So 2 flash flood warnings in effect. Action radar shows us that we have heavy rain in lots of areas. All the areas flashing on your screen picking up heavy rain. The areas in the green and the blue, just regular rain, which is plenty enough. We're going to see lots of rain over the next few hours in the region. Now, there's the tornado watch, the red box on your screen, which covers, again, much of the Channel 6 viewing area. It does not extend up to the Lehigh Valley or the Poconos, fortunately. Here's the motion over the past 6 hours. That's the present picture on Action Radar. And you watch as it spins up toward the Delaware Valley. Back 6 hours, now spinning up toward the Delaware Valley. Again, you see the radial arms, the pinwheel effect, those yellow bands of the heavier rain. They come and they go, and they come back again. Let's go live on Sky 6 this morning, and this is the scene on the Schuylkill Expressway at this hour. Heavy rain, and we're likely to see the areas on the Schuylkill and other roadways that flood during heavy rains flood this morning. So if you have to travel, make sure you keep that in mind. If you don't have to travel, just stay inside, let this blow through. It'll do that over the next few hours. Let's show you the conditions. Right now at the airport, rain falling, temperature dropped just a little bit. 71 degrees, winds have picked up a little bit. East now sustained at 25 miles an hour and gusting to 36 miles an hour out at the airport. So far, the highest gust we've seen is 44 in Wildwood. Today's forecast from AccuWeather, a very stormy morning, flooding rains. We could have thunder, lightning, hail. We're going to have high winds and possibly a tornado. It's not out of the question. And yet, this afternoon, we may see some sun. 78 degrees the high temperature tonight. Clearing trend, 68 degrees tomorrow, hot and humid with a high temperature of around 90 degrees. We expect to have updated position coordinates on Tropical Storm Bertha. The intermediate advisory should just be coming in now, and we'll bring you that in a little while. Rick?
All right, David, thank you very much. Of course, we'll check in somewhat later. We, of course, have two reporters who are out this morning dealing with the stormy conditions and reporting on just how life is going on this Saturday morning. We have David Murphy, who is at a SEPTA station at Broad and Olney. And we go live to the Jersey Shore, where Joe Torres is reporting from Ventnor, New Jersey. He's been there all morning. Hello again, Joe.
Hello again to you, Rick. We were on the beach earlier. We were on the boardwalk. Now we're sort of on the boardwalk on the Ventnor City Municipal Fishing Pier here to give you kind of a perspective of how the beach looks. What perhaps has been most frustrating throughout the day, and Dave has been talking about this, are all the changing conditions. We've run the gamut here, and right now it's perhaps the worst it's been all day with gusty winds, so much so that it's blowing the rain, perhaps the heaviest we've had all day, sideways. Really difficult to get some pictures and to stand into it, and it's painful when that stuff hits you in the face. It's got a little sand there as well. Looking out at the surf, that surf continues to be rough. The surf and the waves continue to pound the shore. Beach erosion, if you look carefully, you won't see much of it. In fact, I just talked to the city administrator who drove by and says that has not been a problem today. And boy, is that a blessing for Jersey Shore communities up and down the coast. Again, we're not out of it just yet, so we'll keep an eye on it. But for now, beach erosion been kept to a minimal. This is the way it looks now. Let us show you a little bit what it looked a little earlier today in Ventnor. We've been here all day. The wind conditions have been bad, even if you're making a phone call on the boardwalk. Mother Nature's fury just showing herself here at the Jersey Shore. Winds have been blowing. They've caused some problems in terms of some shrubbery, in terms of awnings. If you've got deck furniture or patio furniture still out, you might want to grab it if it's not gone already. But again, right now, coming down, joggers, a few of them out on the beach, but not getting their morning exercise. Today is not a beach day, nor is it a boardwalk day. Power lines, we had a slight problem here in Ventnor, and you can guess that this is going to be a situation throughout the day. High winds taking down a tree, and it took down a power line with it. So the public works crews out as quickly as they can to try and get that matter resolved. But that's a problem we may see. High tide came and went at the shore. It's now in the back bay. We've got a photographer out to see what kind of a problem, if any, it's causing there. We also sent her down to Ocean City to get a brief shot of the boardwalk there, perhaps talk to a merchant and find out what's going a little bit further south in Cape May County. We, of course, are here in Atlantic County. Right now, perhaps the worst it's been all day, but it keeps changing. We'll keep you posted. I'm Joe Torres, live on the action cam on the fishing pier here in Ventnor.
Joe, quick question before...
Sure.
Joe, are you back?
Yeah, I'm there.
Quick question for you. Is this shaping up to be just a typical nor'easter, which, of course, you've seen plenty of being out there at the Jersey Shore?
Rick, I really do think it's comparable to that right now. I mean, the winds are coming in, and that seems to be the problem mostly, but flooding hasn't been too much of a problem. I think when all is said and done, from what we've seen so far, the locals will call this a nuisance more than anything. They haven't been bothered by much. If anything, there are garbage cans that are strewn all over the place, so perhaps we'll have some cleanup afterwards. But right now, this is certainly not as bad as it could have been. We've seen much, much worse, that's for sure.
All right, Joe Torres, thank you. Live on the action cam from Ventnor, New Jersey. Now let's go to...
Here is a preview of what is working up the coast. We're at the tail end of Bertha, but people are advised here in Ocean City, Maryland, to stay off the roads until 2 o'clock this afternoon. The weather, no signs of letting up. It's supposed to, around noon, begin to taper off and the skies will begin to clear, but right now, it is just nasty out here. Live on the mass cam and show you the situation here on the boardwalk at Ocean City, Maryland. Patrols are out, and they're making sure the beaches stay clear. The tide is now working in. It's lapping at the seawall, and beach erosion is a good possibility here, as well as the Delaware beaches just a little bit further up the coast. Also, wind damage has already been reported. There's been a roof blown off one building. And looking live now, you can see how the storm surges are quite high. We did witness a few people earlier swimming in the water. Obvious, this is not advised. This is a very dangerous thing to do, but you'll always find people willing to take risks during a storm like this. For the most part, though, most people are staying inside, as is advised. Again, in Ocean City, Maryland, people are advised to stay off the roads until 2 o'clock this afternoon as the storm continues working up the coast. And if the beaches in the Jersey Shore haven't seen this yet. This is what's to come. Violent weather, difficult to walk in this weather. Sand is flowing and the rain continues coming down, downpours and causing some coastal flooding here. The situation, no signs of letting up yet, but we'll continue to monitor it. I'm live in Ocean City, Maryland. Back to you, Rick.
All right, Cecily, thank you. And of course, you could see some of the technical problems.
Comprehensive severe weather coverage from the Weather Channel Forecast Center.
And good morning, I'm Cheryl Lemke reporting live from the Weather Channel Forecast Center as we bring you the very latest on Bertha. Yesterday, Bertha was a Category 2 hurricane as it slammed on shore across North Carolina, packing winds over 100 miles an hour. But since that point, it has rapidly dissipated, or rapidly weakened, I should say, and right now officially a tropical storm. Now, this is so typical with landfalling hurricanes. They really lose their main energy source, which is the warm ocean waters, and also as it encounters the friction from the land, they usually rapidly dissipate and usually weaken quite rapidly after they first make landfall, and indeed that's been the case with Bertha. Let's check out the latest information that we have regarding Bertha. Right now, Bertha, again, down to 50-mile-per-hour winds, so it continues to weaken. Right now centered about 45 miles south of Dover, Delaware, and it continues to accelerate off towards the north-northeast. Now, we're expecting generally a more or less north-northeasterly trek for the next few hours or so, gradually turning more to the northeast, and then again rapidly accelerating out towards the Canadian Maritimes, and it should become extratropical sometime within the next 36 hours or so. Notice how the central pressure continues to rise. Central pressure now at 995 millibars, and that again shows us that Bertha continues to weaken. Our latest satellite picture looks fairly impressive still. We're still seeing some deep convection to the north and to the east side of the center of circulation. And in essence, what that means is that under these brighter shades of blue and orange, that's where the deepest convection is taking place, and that's also where the heavier rains are occurring. We've seen bands of heavier rain sweeping across New Jersey up to New York State, and now some heavier rains too lifting across New England. And indeed, that is going to be a big problem the next several hours or so, the potential for very heavy rain and also that risk for flooding. Speaking of heavy rain, we've had some very heavy rain right now coming down in New Jersey, and reporting live we have Rick Griffin, who's up in Highlands Park area of New Jersey. Rick, what's the latest weather information that you have for us?
Well, Cheryl, about 15 minutes ago we had another one of those tremendous tropical rain squalls go on by with heavy rainfall, 40, 50 mile an hour wind gusts. Right now the wind's died down a little. I'd say it's sustained in the 20 to 25 to 30 mile per hour range, and just a light rain continues to fall. Of course, gray overcast skies, very turbulent morning here along the Jersey Shore.
I see some really rough seas and angry waters behind you. Any information regarding how big the breakers may be?
I would say so. Just judging from here, I'd say they're probably in the 8-foot range, and it's interesting that they have increased dramatically, I'd say just in the last half hour to 45 minutes. The size of the breakers, the fact that the water appears to be piling up on the beach a little bit, and there's several levels of say dunes or levels of the sand here on the beach, and every once in a while the water piles up and goes over the first level of the sand up against the next one. That's the first time I've seen that happen so far this morning. So it would appear that the water is piling up on the beach here. It doesn't look like a real serious situation at this particular time, and I think the tide is heading out, but the breakers getting bigger, the sea certainly rougher than they've been all morning since we've been here.
Yeah, it looks like a real stormy morning there around Highlands, New Jersey. Again, that was Rick Griffin. Thanks a lot, Rick. We'll be checking back with you probably within the next half hour or so. Now, just south of where Rick is, they've had some rather gusty, squally conditions and some strong winds. We've had a report from Seaside Park in New Jersey, peak wind gusts around 54 miles an hour, and just south of there around Harvey Cedars, Wind gusts around 55 miles an hour. So still some very rough conditions. Again, we've had some gusty winds and some locally heavy rain sweeping across the northeast this morning. And that pretty much will be the case for much of the first part of the weekend. The heavy rains inundating a lot of big cities in the northeast, including Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., New York City, and Boston. Looks like a washout for the first part of the weekend. But again, yesterday, that's when Hurricane Bertha came on shore and unleashed its fury on North Carolina. Let's show you some pictures of the damage that was caused by Hurricane Bertha. Again, really packing quite a punch. Just Bill, what's the latest weather where you are right now?
Cheryl, it is a fine morning here. You mentioned how the folks up on the Jersey Shore are getting buffeted. That was the case about 18 hours back here in the Wilmington area. Today, though, a west wind, much drier, a lot of sunshine out right now. We're getting blocked by the sun by our hotel room. By the way, not too many creature comforts in that hotel room right now. We have no power, therefore no hot water, and little if any phone service. That's the case over much of the greater Wilmington area. At the height of Hurricane Bertha, 110,000 people without power. We are looking southward now down the Cape Fear River. There is a fair amount of boat traffic out there right now. Folks are out there assessing the damages in the city. It's not that bad. It doesn't appear to be near as bad as Hurricane Diana. However, the information still is very sketchy on the Barrier Islands. Incidentally, the FEMA director, James Witt, is coming in around 10:30. Also, Governor James Hunt coming in at that time. They will be in Wilmington flying into the airport. Then they'll be heading over to the Barrier Islands, which effectively are off limits right now.
Bill, do you have any preliminary reports as to how much damage could have been caused by Hurricane Bertha?
Cheryl, we don't know a whole lot about that now. There is a lot of damage on the islands, especially down around the Curry Beach area. Reports coming in of virtually every house having some damage. I want to show you some of the pictures a little bit north of there, though. Take you up around Wrightsville Beach. And in Wrightsville Beach, there was damage also. As you
northward over towards Merrimack River. That does include Delaware Bay and all of Long Island Sound. It's throughout this entire region that tropical storm force winds are a possibility, with the stronger winds, some gusty conditions, and some rough seas and choppy waters. Certainly, boating and fishing and swimming is not being advised throughout this region, as there will be some dangerous rip tides and rip currents. The storm surge still looking rather significant, anywhere from 2 to 4 feet higher than usual.